Now, a warrant for the arrest of embattled Chief Executive Officer of gold dealership company MenzGold has been issued. Nana Appiah-Mensah is wanted for defrauding by false pretense after months of failure to pay investors of MenzGold their entitlements. Well, apart from Nana Appiah-Mensah, the warrant is also for the arrest of Rose Tete, believed to be his wife, and his sister Benedicta Mensah. There are reports the embattled CEO is hiding in South Africa or Nigeria. Interpol has been alerted, while any Ghanaian with knowledge of his whereabouts is also charged to effect his arrest. Here is Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, Mame Ya Tiwa Adodankwa, explaining the development so far.
After investigating this case for some time now we are aware that Nana Appiah-Mensah is not in Ghana. So we have started the process of letting Interpol put him in the red notice. And one of the documents that we need to add is warrant of arrest from a court of competent jurisdiction, which we have already done. We have obtained the warrant, and now we have initiated the process. Interpol will look at the reasons why we are saying the person is a fugitive, and then they will inform all the member states to be on the lookout, arrest and then extradite the person to Ghana. So we have started that process.
Okay, so we're told you just mentioned about a court warrant. We've just seen that's a bench warrant for arrest of all MenzGold directors. Is it just number one that this court warrant is for, or all the other MenzGold directors? And when did we get this bench warrant?
No, there's a difference between a bench warrant and a warrant of arrest. A bench warrant is where the person is already before court, and then maybe he's been granted bail by a court, and the person has jumped bail. That is when you go for bench warrant. But this is a warrant of arrest. We haven't taken him to court yet. I'm aware of that arrest, but that arrest was not done by the police. So if the arrest was not done by the police, he couldn't have jumped bail from us. Rather, we are looking for him. We are looking for him, and it is only number one that we are looking for. We have already obtained warrant of arrest for 2 other directors. We have started the investigations, and we have gone to a certain level. You see, when you are doing investigations, maybe from our strategies, you don't start by arresting. You need to arm yourself with enough information so that when the person appears before you, you can ask the right questions. So we started this investigation somewhere in December, and we have gone to a level where it is now we are ready for arrest. That is why when we got to know that number one is not in the country, we initiated the processes of informing Interpol so that the 194 member states will help us to arrest him. So any information that we have, example, the possible location, address, telephone number, we have to provide all the information to Interpol, and they will inform the other member states to be on the lookout for the person, and then they will assist us in arresting that person.
But if we've been looking for number one, at least from what we've been saying so far, how did he get out of the country without the CID or the authorities getting to know about it?
That would be very difficult to say, because from our records, from the record that we have, we were of the opinion that he was in the country. It was when we realized, we tried to locate him, that we realized he's actually out of the country. How he got out would be very difficult for me to comment.
There was no record of him leaving the country, at least through the airport, from what we've checked? I
am yet to confirm that, that when he left the country and through which exit point that he left.
But when was this alert issued to the Interpol, for instance?
The alert issue, we started the initial processes. You give them the information why you think Interpol should come and assist you. And then that one has been accepted that we have reasonable justification for declaring the person as a fugitive. Then you back that with a warrant of arrest issued by a court of competent jurisdiction, which you have also added to it.
Okay. But why exactly are we looking for number one?
I think this is something that you already know. Whenever somebody does something that is contrary to the law, then the police will have to come in. That is, crime. When somebody has committed a crime, then we have to come in and investigate possible arrest and then prosecution. Currently, I'm unable to tell exactly what are the charges that we'll be preferring against him. That is why I said we'll be investigating. But apart from the predicate offense that he would have committed, we'll also be looking at money laundering, and also be tracing assets. So these are some of the things that we'll be looking. So there are possible offenses which I cannot mention that this is the one that we are looking at. But as and when we finish our investigation, we'll be able to come out with the exact offenses that he has committed. I'm 100% sure that we'll be able to do that, especially when you get the Interpol involved. So within the whole world, there's nowhere that he can run to. No, once you get Interpol involved, there's nothing like influencing anybody, because the processes there are such that once he's located, definitely he'll be brought back. How is it need to extradite? He himself will have to come back. Because when you go through that process, he might not even like to go through that. And once he gets to know that he's been declared a wanted person, he himself will walk to Ghana and then will continue with the process.
So as he stands now, is he a wanted man?
Yes.
Right, so you heard the Tiwa Adodankwa. She is the CID boss. She says Nana Appiah-Mensah is on the run. He's been declared a fugitive. Now, my colleague Emefa Apewu of our security desk joins me in the studio with more. Emefa, I know you've been digging into this. You spoke to the police and your sources as well. What additional information do we have about this particular development?
We know that money laundering issues have also come up as one of the charges that is likely to be slapped on Nam1 if he's found. We also know that 194 countries have been alerted to help Ghana find Nam1, knowing that the president has also initiated processes and issued these 3 warrants we are told about. I'm sure we know that the 3 warrants, it includes 2 others, and Mamitiwa also confirms that they are 2 directors. So, but it's unclear whether the 2, the wife and the sister, are also directors of MenzGold. We also know that the Financial Intelligence Center of the Bank of Ghana have also initiated processes to freeze his assets. But the main concern also is that most of these assets are either rented or not in his name. These are some of the issues we are finding out. Also in the last minute, also Parker has been to the wife's shop at East Legon, Shiashi area to be precise. He's been operating. And we spoke to him a while ago, and he tells us that the wife has not been at the shop for the past 2 months, also because the shop is being run by the brother. But the shop attendants, confirm that indeed they've been paid their monthly salaries since this issue came up, but they just don't know the whereabouts of their madam. We asked Mamitiwa why now, because that's the concern for the minority. Of course, they've stated that why now, because if you didn't do the needful, by now that you're freezing his assets, he must have transferred all monies from his accounts, if any, that is, if he saves in any bank, after all, because there are rumors that he must have been saving in his own home. For instance, he has votes that he must be keeping his monies in there. So that's the concern of the minority. Why now? And I posed that question to Mamitiwa and says because criminal issues are coming up. Because if you check the warrants, for instance, it's defrauding by false pretense. That's what came up. But now that money laundering issues are also coming up amongst others. So they say that is why they are coming in now. You've also heard from Gabby's post, for instance, you've read that he jumped bail. There was an arrest some time back. Yes. Mamitiwa confirms that yes, there was an arrest, but it was not from the CID. The first arrest was, we're told, that is from the BNI. That's how come a warrant and not a bench warrant was issued for the 3 of them. So it's a warrant for him because this is the first time the CID is seeking to arrest Nam1. So that's where we are assistants in the issue of finding him. But she tells us that Nam1 can run but cannot hide, and that the issue about him being a man of influence will not come to play, because this time around 194 countries, including the countries that people are hoping that he will be in, which is Nigeria and South Africa. And these 2 countries are part of the 194 countries that are part of Interpol states.
I see. So the security agencies in those countries are also actively looking.
Yes, they've been alerted on him. So anyone who finds Nam1 in any of these countries are supposed to alert the security agencies in that country to find him. So 194 countries around the world, and not just in Africa. So it means that wherever he is, they are on him. And she tells me that 100% they are sure that they will be able to get Nam1, but did not give timelines. And the issue about how come Nam1 left the country without any of the security agencies in this country knowing is that she tells me that he certainly did not go through the Kotoka International Airport because there's no trace of, you know, information as to how he got out of the country. So possibly the rumor was that, or information that we picked up was that he must have gone through Togo to Nigeria, then to South Africa. So it's between Nigeria and South Africa that Namwan could be in one of these countries. We are told that the nuclear family have been moved to the UK. So they are also, these two countries are also part of the Interpol states. So definitely they are 100% sure that in the nearest future, they'll be able to arrest Namwan and extradite him back to Ghana for the processes. And for her, she thinks that Namwan should not wait to be arrested. He should come back to Ghana himself for the processes to kick in.
Well, given that all of these have been put out, do you think that he will, you know, voluntarily surrender himself?
That's what they're hoping, that will be done. They're hoping that he will be able to do that, because if he's arrested, he will be extradited back to Ghana for the processes to kick in, from what she tells us.
All right, thank you so much. That's MFR Peru. She's with our security desk here. I also have Kojo Yangson, who has been digging into Nana Appiah Mensah's social media activity and his background, and he joins me in the studio now. So what have you found so far, Kojo?
Well, quite a lot. We first had a look at his social media activity to see if there were any clues there as to his recent movements. We noted that on Twitter, where he was very active, his last tweet was dated the 27th of November 2018, and this is what he said, just briefly. Instead of us being resolute, you've fallen for the misconceptions and further denigration of my name and the brand. We shall do the needful now. God knows we defended our collective cause. Hashtag posterity, hashtag hail MenzGold Global.
So this was when, specifically?
This was on the 27th of November. He tweeted from his iPhone at 10:42 in the morning. We also noted that he last posted on Instagram on the 28th of November, the day after. This time around it was in the morning, and his message was again seeking to ridicule the suggestion that his organization was in any way dodgy or operating outside the law. He concluded by saying, at the end, what I would live with would be the shock at the silence of my friends and associates, and not the temporary slay of my foes. Hashtag values added, hashtag life lessons. But we decided to try and put together a picture of who he is. We got a bit of biodata about him. He's called Nana Appiah Mensah, as we know. Born on the 16th of May 1984. That makes him a 34-year-old
34 years old, yeah.
His parents are Susie Ivy Brew, that's his mother. His father is Napoleon Mensah Abrompa, and he has two siblings. He has one sibling and one sister-in-law who is Sima Brew. You can see images of Sima Brew's wedding, where Nana Appiah Mensah was seen throwing dollars into the assembled guests, and they, of course, having a good time running about picking up the notes. His wife is Mrs. Rose Appiah Mensah, known as Mrs. Rose Tete, according to the warrant that was issued for her arrest. He has one child known as P. Mensah, and he spent the better part of his early life with his mother in Kaswa, where he is still revered whenever he comes back into the community, hailed like a leader. He went to Adisadel College for his secondary school education, and the University of Ghana for his first degree, where he studied economics, business management, finance, mining, and environmental studies. He's won several awards. He was a Judge Business Executive of the Year 2017. That is a story that we actually found on the University of Ghana website, where they were hailing him as a celebrated alumnus.
Right. I just wanted to point out to viewers that what you're watching right now is a party that he attended, and clearly he lives a lavish lifestyle. It's a party he threw for his his wife. These are his luxurious luxury cars.
I brace your legs to, to be 100. And more. And more. More pretty gorgeous kids like Nana Appiah.
Right, so those were images or scenes from a party Namwan through for his wife. So could you were talking about his background.
Yes, and you know, in the interest of disclosure, I wasn't invited to that party or any other parties he threw. Right. All right, now Nana Appiah Mensah has several businesses. I can list a few of them. MenzGold Ghana, we already know. Brew Marketing Consult Company Limited, that is a company connected to MenzGold. Right. They sell the outsourced products from MenzGold. MenzGold Espana SL, which is in Spain. Now, interestingly, they are listed as being established in September 2017, and their activities include construction, installations and maintenance, wholesale and retail trade, intermediaries of the trade of diverse products, so they don't limit the products they trade in, and then they engage in real estate activities. Now, according to zionfelix.net, their annual turnover in Spain was less than 2 million euros. Now he also owns Xylophone Media Company Limited, which has several brands under its umbrella, including Xylophone FM, Xylophone Music, Xylophone Movies, Xylophone TV, Xylophone Marketing, and a copyright office. He also owns TIA Holdings in the United States, Brew Energy Company Limited, Brew Realty Company Limited, Cheetah Security Company Limited, and Narosa Hotel. He also owns Division 1 club Star Madrid FC. And of course, in the month of May 2018, he sealed a deal for $10 million to sponsor the Ghana Football League, Premier League, for 5 years. This is the deal that he, Nana Appiah Mensah, signed with Kwesi Nyantakyi. And it was for Xylophone Cash to sponsor it. He has a humanitarian organization as well. But we also have some rather interesting, let's call it unconfirmed information. So we saw a fleet of his vehicles. He owns several, including a Bentley, a Rolls-Royce, a G-Wagon, and an uncountable number of V8 Land Cruisers, pickups, and 15-seater buses. Now,
and those are some of the vehicles that you're referring to. And this is when he went to see the Otumfo at Menchia.
Indeed. Now, currently, his mother and sister are in Ghana. They are said to be doing some asset recovery. This is the information we picked up from our sources today. So that's why we call it unconfirmed, because we are yet to independently verify this information. But apparently, they are involved in some asset recovery exercises with some particular clients of MenzGold, not all of them. They were last sighted at Nima Police Station, where they caused the arrest of one customer over breach of contract. Now, Nana Appiah Mensah himself has moved his nuclear family out of Ghana, according to our source, for fear of their safety. And of course, Mr. Appiah Mensah's wife, Rosalind, and son are supposedly in South Africa, where he is rumored to own some real estate. Now, this is the last bit of information I can add. Information from neighbors close to his head office, which is actually in Jowlu, suggest that in the middle of the night, after the expiration of his rental lease for the property on the 3rd of December, he came there with some police, under police escort, and emptied the contents of the building. Wow. Yes, that is what some neighbors of his at that location are reporting to us.
Interesting. And this is major news in Ghana, all across the country, and it's certainly trending on social media, isn't it?
It absolutely is. So many people talking about this matter. MenzGold is trending at #1. Nana Appiah Mensah is trending very close behind, and everybody seems to have something to say about the recent developments.
All right, thank you so much, Kojo Yankson and MFAPO, for those details. Let's still continue. There have been suggestions that assets of the CEO of MenzGold should be sold to settle some of the funds locked up. So JoyNews' Nancy Emefa-Dwadosi has been to town, making efforts to check on some of the landed properties. Here's her report.
It's just been a minute's drive from the MenzGold office here at East Legon, and we are the Xylophone Media head office, which has the online platform, the radio platform, and also the TV platform. From where I stand, you can see that there's a viewing ecstasy, and that is where all the online cinema platform for the movie premieres are being aired. And so if you're interested in movies, that's where you go and watch. The radio station is also in there, the TV station is also in there. So this is what the properties along this side. But we are going deep into the East Legon itself, proper, where he has lots of these properties. So this entire stretch is close to the East Legon police station. This is the first building you see. So the xylophone music brewed in Africa is what is written on this particular building. This is the xylophone music, the first. And then right next to it is another property called the Xylophone Films. We want to assume that this is a cinema sort of. We heard from some of the people living in this area that all these properties you see on your screens are properties owned by Mr. Nana Appiah Mensah. In fact, all of these buildings. And that is not all. There are others on the left side that we are unable to shoot because of how we've positioned ourselves. So we are currently at a different location, in fact not a different location, but the same neighborhood where we saw the xylophone music, xylophone films. This road is the road leading to the Royal Rita Hotel. All these properties, I'm sure you can see the gold that has been embossed on this particular building, which signals that these buildings belong to Xylophone Media. This is where the customers, this is where the customers of MenzGold came to storm the other side. And this building you see is an underground building, we understand. An underground building, it has been dug from, the building and built straight up. This huge building belongs to Nana Appiah Mensah also.
So that was Nancy Emefa-Dradosi there. Earlier, some customers of the troubled gold dealership firm told Gifty Ando Appiah on the Pulse that they are hopeful the locked-up funds will be released soon. They've been sharing how they ignored the central bank's warning because MenzGold convinced them to do legitimate business with them.
But that steps in and make sure that whatever they say, like they hold him by his words, and make sure that he fulfills whatever he has said to the customers. I believe that there will be a headway. I heard it. And then when Bank of Ghana comes to say this, MenzGold will come and say that. And obviously...
So there was uncertainty?
No.
So anybody with the amount of money you have, you could have just gone for
if truly they are not doing something good, they should have stopped them immediately.
But you have your money there. The responsibility, the first responsibility is with you to protect your money. When you were hearing the inconsistencies,
no, I'm coming.
Did you feel like you should
I
go
did
for
mine in July, which is last year, July 2018. I believe Bank of Ghana came somewhere 2016 to warn, and then it continued. But anytime they come, MenzGold will come and say, we have the required license to operate.
And who?
MenzGold came to where I work. You see, when they started, they were going around
asking people to buy the gold.
Yes, to buy the gold. And they have a way of talking to you nicely. And they'll come, you need to invest for your future. If you have the money, you will spend it. And I waited for all these years because I wanted to be sure. And then upon seeing him with these prominent people, our presidents, the Otumfo, sponsoring the Ghana League, having so many, saying that he wanted to help the youth.
So that gave you a sense that
it gave
he's
me
credible.
A relief that he's doing something good for Ghanaians.
Now,
with emotions, this is not how I talk. This is not how I talk, but due to this issue, because it's like, it's a lifetime investment. In Ghana, it's hard to get a job, and as young as I am, I've been able to maybe at least work to gather small money, thinking that not wanting to misuse the money and then taking it to maybe MenzGold, and all this thing has happened. I can't sleep. Now, when I'm there, all of a sudden my heart starts to pant. I hardly sleep, I hardly eat well.